Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Discuss the latest news, just fans giving their view. This channel is red. They see the bar and raise it, plus they rep for the ladies. Trust it's red. Female voices in football. Red. If you want to talk up, it's a red channel for me and you. Subscribe and tune into the Ladies in Red.
Hi guys, welcome back to Ladies in Red. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry it's been delayed. I know I was trying to get this show done earlier in the week, but work, I'll be honest, has been an absolute madness. But I've broken up now for Easter half term, hence the smile on my face, and hopefully a lot more content coming for you guys. And I hope you are all doing well. Hopefully your day hasn't been too bad. And like I've said in the title of the video, there's so much to talk about. I want to hear what you guys have got to say as well. This is your show. Any fans are welcome to come and talk about their team. It doesn't have to be United. As I always say, it can be literally anybody. Hopefully the Palace fan, I saw you in the chat just, I'm sure, Eagle-Eyed Football, hopefully you jump back on today and we can get a longer chat, especially after your win the other day as well. But yeah, a lot of people last week spoke, and to be fair, all my guests were superb, and I'd like to welcome as many. So please share the video, guys. Let's get more people involved in this. And yeah, let's have a bit of fun with it. But I'll get the ball rolling. Obviously, there's news today about Ten Hag, and yesterday it broke, saying that rumours are that it is going to be Ten Hag as our next manager. Final details are kind of being sorted regarding that. Firstly, United fans, football fans, how are you feeling about that? I'll be honest, I said that I'd rather have Ten Hag over Pochettino. I still think it's a risk either way, but look, I'll back whoever is in charge, as I've always said, because I think deep down we all know it's not the manager. It's not on that person alone, is it? There's issues beyond that, and I think we've known that for a while now. But Ten Hag coming in, it definitely is an exciting prospect, isn't it? And hopefully he's given the reins. Hopefully he can build his team, and he has a lot of control over transfers. And talk about transfers, Calvin Phillips, I know is a name that's been outed today. Apparently we are in talks, or not in talks, but we are interested in Calvin Phillips. Look, it's been no secret that I'm a big admirer of Declan Rice, but I did say last week the 150 million price tag is ridiculous. With Calvin Phillips, I still think he's a very, very good CDM, and obviously you're going to be getting him for a cheaper price, and if Leeds go down, which it looks unlikely at the minute, I know, but we're Leeds in a situation there, and as well, you never know what we'll be able to grab him for. So Calvin Phillips, I don't think he's a bad shout. I'm going to ask the viewers today, like, the thoughts on the Leeds connection, because football isn't really what it was, if we're honest. But I remember a player, Smudge, Alan Smith, obviously Leeds through and through, come to United, and yeah, I loved him at United. He gave everything for the red shirt, regardless of who he was playing, whether it was Leeds or anybody. So I do think that the Leeds connection, for me, like I say, it's not what it is back in the day, is it? It's not what it is back in the day. Let's see what people in the chat are saying first. We can see a few people lined up for a call, which is brilliant. I'll get you on very, very shortly. Potter's really done nothing with all the money and all that quality, has been overlooked 3 times, so not for me. Yeah, not for me. Exactly the same. Poch, he has got experience communicating. I'd agree with that. And like I say, I would back whoever come in charge. If it was Poch, I'd back him. If it's Ten Hag, which is likely to be, of course, I'll back him. But my favourite out of the two was always Ten Hag. Poch, let's not look at it. You know, I know he hasn't won a trophy, but getting Spurs to the Champions League final in the manner they did, and that season as well, when they got the top 4, finished second as well, obviously just losing against Leicester. Like, you have to give him credit. He has done a decent job, but we all know he want to win trophies, and that's what it boils down to, doesn't it? Winning trophies, and Poch hasn't been able to do that. You mentioned the team he's got PSG. What's happened in the Champions League this season yet again, and that, we know what happens with this PSG managers. Champions League is what they want, and when they do not get it, then they're in trouble. So I genuinely felt after that game that Poch was going to be sacked, and I thought, that's it, then Poch is coming to United. When that didn't happen straight away, I was thinking, hang on, maybe it's not like that way. And now it's looking like Ten Hag is the guy that we're going for. After the interview, I think I read 4 managers in the past week, and Ten Hag was the chosen one. So yeah, we'll delve into that in a minute. Ten Hag is not my concern. It's the funding and fan backing that is my issue. We cannot do another Jose on this guy. Exactly, that's what I mean. Hopefully he's given full reins and he can take over and build his own team, because like I say, the manager, even though the manager has created problems, if you look at Ollie tactically, we've said that in the past, that he's not the main problem. The problems go far, far beyond that. And that's why I'm saying Ten Hag coming in, it's an exciting prospect. It's also a risky project, but no matter who we get in at the point we're on at the moment, it's risk, isn't it? It's a massive risk. And obviously with the players that we've got possibly going out in the summer as well, I think that gives him a bit more licence really to make this team his own. And I'm not even saying that in terms of players like boys. I'm talking about players like James Garner, maybe getting a look in as well from Forest. With a new manager coming in, he's going to want to have a look at the squad. And a player called Tony Martial everything's severe at the moment. Rumours are that he's going to come back. And I'm sure Ten Hag would like to have a look at him as well if it is that he is coming back. I can see Aikavin is waiting up first. So Aikavin, hope you're ready. I'm going to get you on the show. Big up to you. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Aikavin. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've just touched on a few of the topics there, but I'm going to let you fire away what you would like to talk about on the show tonight.
I'm hopeful Ten Hag will be confirmed in the next few days or so, because I think it's a really good appointment, and I'm intrigued by his coaching staff as well. I'm hearing he's bringing back Rene as well, and I'm hearing Steve McLaren. Is he coming as well? I'm hearing he might be the assistant. So that's it. That's intriguing.
Is that encouraging for you?
That is, because you have some experience there, like you have some proper coaching there, because it's not like you have Mike Phelan, who's barely been under Sir Alex Ferguson, but a few years under him. You also got Darren Fletcher in the dugout. I don't know what's his role. He's not.
Apparently, he's having a leading role in terms of choosing the next manager.
Yeah, exactly. So, but hopefully he gets the power, because if he doesn't have power, he's not going to succeed. Like I said before, you need to give the manager the power. You need to give him the control, the ability to control the team, because he's the one that's going to make the decisions that will lead us to success. With his tactic, with his ability. see McLeod. Yeah, but yeah. That's what I think. Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't it? I think
it is.
With the club in the state that it's in at the moment, we always talk about having a reset and whatnot, but this feels like the closest it will be to an actual full reset, because of the players that we're going to be letting go, and whether they're out of contract, whether they're unhappy, for whatever reason, this squad, there is going to be a major clear out, and it's interesting to see how we're going to back Ten Hag. And like I mentioned there, I don't mean fully players who we are purchasing with money. I mean players bringing back from loans and stuff like that as well. He's going to want to have a look at our squad, the full squad pre-season, and I'm sure that'll change his decisions there. But I mentioned James Garner. I've seen a lot of positive tweets regarding him and his performance. And I know Forest love him. Would you give him a look in next season? Do you think that his time has now come? Do you think he deserves that shot?
Oh, you mean James Garner?
Yeah.
I actually watched him in the game against Arsenal in the FA Cup this season, and he was solid. He was solid. For me, he's that anchor in midfield. If you bring him into the team now, I think he's ready. I honestly think he's ready, because if you can put in a 5 out of 5 performance against Arsenal, or a 10 out of 10, let's say 10 out of 10 performance against Arsenal, you can put in a shift against Arsenal, stuff like that. That is a top Premier League team. You also played against Leicester City already. I'm seeing signs. I'm thinking, if he and Nottingham Forest come up, he definitely is one to watch. But it's up to Ten Hag really, because if he's suited to his system, because definitely I don't think we'll sell Garner. Nah, I don't think we'll sell Garner. I think what we'll do is, I think we could loan him out for another year. I know people might say he's ready, but I think maybe one more year loan will do, because we really have to see if he's ready next season. Because this season he's done well, fair enough, but he's in the Championship. Is he ready to play in the Premier League if Nottingham Forest are up in the Premier League? We also have to look at Martial. Martial, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? Because Martial is one who's Sevilla fans are not really happy with how he's playing as well. He's not been that. He's not been all be and end all, because let's
how old is Martial now? Do we know?
I think he's around 25, 26, I think, or around 27. He's just about older than Rashford. He's about older than Rashford. Yeah, he's older than Rashford. So I think, he's not got many youth level years left ahead of him. Let's say he's not got many I wouldn't say youth, but let's 26. say 26. I wouldn't say he's got many good years left ahead of him, because he's almost 30. In 40, I think he's got at least 4 or 5 good years left ahead of him.
Don't say he's almost 30. I'm 29. I'm almost 30. Don't say that.
It's still young, but I mean for a footballer like Martial.
I asked his age because I'm thinking players of that age, 26 is normally obviously where you're hitting your prime, and for a player to go out and loan at that age, for me that spells the end. I don't really see a future for them at that club if you're being loaned at that point. Do you know what I mean? The only thing that I think could be an interesting one is Ten Hag coming back. I'm sure he would want to have a look at the squad fully before making his decisions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that may mean Martial does get a sniff pre-season, and maybe then we decide what happens with him. But
he needs to decide who the captain as well. He needs to decide the
Yeah.
captain as well next season as well, because there's a lot of fixing there's a lot of fixing in the squad that needs to be done, because you also got players that, they're apparently falling out with each other. You've got players like on one side of the dressing room, you got players on the other side of the dressing room. You got players like who are against Ten Hag, players who want to play for Ten Hag. So if Ten Hag comes and knows who those people are that don't want to play for him, he's going to ship them out. Because why would you keep them if you don't want to play for you? It's not going to give it all on the pitch. They're not going to try. They're not going to play for you. They're just going to be like, nah, I'm not bothered to play for you. I want out of here. Ten Hag will just ship you out right away. I think it's going to be like he's gonna come in and say, like, for example, a teacher at school, he or she puts them into groups of which color they want to be. If they want to be in or out, they'll break the side of the dressing room and they'll ship those one out, and the ones in they might just give him a new contract, or they might look at the ability and say, okay, he's not good enough, or he is good enough. He will stay. Because there are a lot of players I think that should be brought up from the academy as well. I'm thinking maybe
Hannibal and players like that.
The goalkeeper. I'm looking at the goalkeeper situation. I'm thinking maybe Matej Kovar might deserve a shot, because
we've got a lot of goalkeepers at the minute, though. To be fair,
Dean Henderson and Lee Grant need to go. Dean Henderson doesn't want to be here. Lee Grant is just about like almost 40. I mean, goalkeepers can play till 40, but I think Lee Grant is not going to play any games anytime soon. He's just eating up a bit of wages, so just cut it out. I think we could also see Tom Heaton. Tom Heaton will stay. I think Tom Heaton will definitely stay, because Tom Heaton he's a backup.
He's a more than able backup, isn't he?
He's a backup. Yeah, he's not played a game, but he will be a backup. And I think we need to give him Kovar experience from Tom Heaton, because he has played at top level. I think he's played for England before, if I'm not mistaken. He's played for the England team, right? National team. Yeah, he's played for England. He's played for Burnley. He's played a long career. And I think with that experience that he could give to Kovar, and he could give to who's the other keeper again in the academy? There's another one in the under 20, under 22, under 18. I think. I'm not sure.
Kovar's the most that you'd say the closest to
Kovar. Just get Kovar up and then give him experience. He could be our second choice goalkeeper, because I think if you're looking at a second choice goalkeeper, who is really out there that wants to be a second choice goalkeeper? And will Ten Hag consider De Gea as well, because he's not a good ball player. He's not a good distributor. Because
these are the names that I would be thinking of.
Yeah, I'd agree with Garnacho. I'd agree with McNeil, Hannibal as well. I think Hannibal might loan out, but I'm Garner 100%. Garnacho. Yeah. Garnacho is one that really excites me. I think it's one of them where we talk about
the transfer window is going to be big, and everyone automatically thinks, it's what you're spending.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Like, we've got a lot of talented players, and you never know. Like, if you
got so many.
No one even spoke about Rashford really, and then he broke onto the scene because of the injuries to the first team squad. And then I know obviously we're slating him at the moment, but in general, like, it was a bit of a shock prospect. Do you know what I mean? Greenwood was a bit different. Through the ranks, everyone was talking about Greenwood, and we always thought he was going to be a talent and whatnot. Yeah. And I think with Elanga as well, like, he's one that had flashes, like, obviously in the youth and whatnot. He stepped up to
he's
first
a bit
team.
Erratic.
And actually, but he surprised quite a few people with his impact that he's had and his finishing ability as well. And he's one that definitely I would like to see more of next season. Definitely.
I wouldn't put so much pressure on Elanga right now because he's not ready. I still think he's not ready. He's a squad player. I still don't think he's 100% ready for the Premier League, because you've seen his performances recently. They're not up to standard. Like, I understand he's 19. He's like, yeah. You also got Ethan Laird as well. Tenen Mengi. I think Tenen Mengi is good. I think he's a decent centre back, but also could do with another loan. Fernandez, a left back, I think he could do with a loan out. But
he seems to
playing
be
in the academy a lot better. Alvaro Fernandez is one I look and say, this guy can replace Alex Telles and Luke Shaw. Because I'm sorry to say this, but Luke Shaw, I just don't think he's that easy. He's all that anymore, because he's had at least 2 good years for Man United. Well, 1.5, because he got injured for that season when he was like, he was like, he exploded. He bursted into the scene. He had that massive left leg snap, and then he was out. He came back, and then he slowed down. The Mourinho just called him fat. He wasn't good enough. There's no offense to Luke Shaw, but I just think that he was a one-season wonder. He strived through the love that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave him. I don't think he was all that, like, you know, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave him like the backing. He gave him the pat on the back and say, "Hey, I've got your back. You can do it." I think
that season he would literally was. I remember having conversations. I couldn't think of a left back better than him on current form of the way that he was playing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he
for England, he played really well. For England, he played really well recently.
Post Euros, all of our English players have suffered, though, haven't they?
Because you always want to give it all for your country.
Maguire, Luke Shaw, Rashford, obviously, will throw into that as well. Like all of our English players post Euros. At the start of
the year, I saw Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire. You know, there was some times where Luke Shaw crossed it into Maguire. Maguire's heading. I was like, there you go. There's a link up there that we could go into next season with. But it just didn't work out. I just don't know what really happened. But I just don't know what happened. Because I even saw it in preseason when he scored that header against Everton. Maguire scored a header against Everton. Remember when we won 4-0? It was a Luke Shaw across to Maguire. I was like, here we go. They're building a connection now. They're building somewhat of a link up. But
the hope what kills you, yeah.
It's the hope that kills you at the end of the day, because like you know now that they're not doing it. So you've got to be ruthless. Sometimes players don't like the ruthlessness of the managers. They would rather fight for their country because you know you show more pride playing for your country than your club. But
Luke Shaw felt more welcome.
But that should be equal for me. Should be equal for me. But I'm hoping we get a lot of transfers in. I don't want to overspend, because like we've spent so much over the years as well. We spent like around how much because Arsenal spent $250 million, but they've not won anything. That just goes to show an example of overspending is never good. Man City have spent £200 million on defenders. They haven't won a Champions League. Well, they might win one this year, but it's taken them a while too, which it shouldn't have. They should have won that Champions League after spending £200 million on defenders, because you know the level of quality of Pep Guardiola as a manager. If you have a manager like Ten Hag,
if you look at money spent, we've wasted a lot. We have to admit
we have wasted a lot of money. That's why I wouldn't want to overspend money. I would rather spend cheap. Over 400 million spent on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Exactly that just goes to show that when you overspend, sometimes it's never the best thing, because the pressure and the money the price tag that they put onto them, that they carry with them. So for example, you have Harry Maguire, 80 million price tag. You got Paul Pogba, 89 million pounds. That price tag that they're carrying with them, the pressure that they have to carry as well, because you had to perform every single game. Like the pundits, like you see Graham Souness, you expect it. He literally said, Pogba, I expect a lot more from that. I expect like 80 assists. I'm like, that's crazy. They also have to deal with the English media as well, because you know how the English media are like. They don't like certain players, like, because when you're too expensive, exactly like Lukaku as well. You see now what's happened. Sometimes price tags can make you flop. A heavy price tag can make you flop. And because Jadon Sancho at the start, he was at the start as well. You saw he was slowly picking up, because you know he's come to a new league, new level, because he's played in Bundesliga for a couple seasons. He's played in the Man City academy, but then that's a different level. But when you go up to the Bundesliga, when you come up to the Premier League, the price tag, the level is going to be different. So, but I think he's slowly living up to it. He's slowly going to live up to it for sure.
Yeah,
but
definitely. I think we could talk for hours. Genuinely, I think we have so much to delve into regarding the financial side and everything. And I hope you're going to join me again, because it's been a great call. And like I say,
100%. I'll definitely be back. Hopefully, I can join you on the panel again soon. Hopefully, I can join you on the panel soon.
Yeah, I'll tell Zio that you want to jump on, definitely. I think that'll be an interesting talk as well.
Yeah,
100%. Thank you so much, Aikman. Hope you have a lovely rest of your evening day. I know you said it's different timing where you are.
It's 1:19 a.m. here.
1:19 a.m. Crazy. Well, rest up, look after yourself, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. But thank you so much for coming on. A really good call. Thank you, Aikman. Right, Aikman there jumping on. I don't know why it jumped off so fast then. I didn't mean to cut you off, Aikman. I apologise. I want to say firstly, Marshall, a Liverpool fan, if you want to jump on, you're welcome to jump on. Obviously, I am a United fan, so I am a bit bitter about you at the moment, but I'm joking. You are welcome to jump on and come and talk to me. All fans are welcome. I see Nip on there waiting. Obviously, want to talk Chelsea. I'm sure about that. And just before, though, I have got Shivan in the chat, so we'll get Shivan on. I will try and get through the calls as fast as I can, so everybody does get a turn as well. I don't want to miss anybody out. But Shivan, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you, Shivan. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I think in regards to the Eric Ten Hag move,
Yeah.
I think it's a good appointment so far. I really didn't want Poch, if I'm being honest, because yes, he does have that Premier League experience, but he couldn't win the Champions League with PSG, who I thought was the best team in the world right now. So I'm happy with
Yeah.
the Eric Ten Hag appointment. I think yes, you can say he doesn't have that Premier League experience. I think that's a downside, but overall, I think what he did in Ajax was just unbelievable. I mean, his style of play is just brilliant to watch.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's that exciting style of play. I think we've craved it for so long now. It's just been, it's just, I don't know about you, but I'm not watching United now. Like, I'm not even surprised anymore at the lackluster performances. And it literally does look like the players do not give a toss about the shirt, about the badge at the moment, about the fans, the situation that we're in. You're literally screaming like to put the extra mile in to push because we're still competing for top four. And in that must-win games, we're just sloppy. And I know people were celebrating Arsenal dropping points the other night, but I don't know about you. I still don't have the faith that we're going to get this over the line in terms of top four.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get top four. I mean, you look at the fixtures we have: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. We'll probably get maybe a point out of that game, but I think it's between Spurs and Arsenal that will get top four. Unless we go on an unbelievably consistent run, then I can't see us getting top four. And plus, we have to rely on Arsenal and Spurs dropping points, which we shouldn't anyways. But I think the squad we have right now is top four capability. But it's just the players aren't performing on the pitch. So
that's the frustrating thing, isn't it? We know we've got the talent, we know we've got the personnel, but the performances have just been so dismal. Like, I'm not really exaggerating when I say Burnley have been more entertaining than us, and I don't think I'd ever say that, but I am saying that because that's how poor we have literally been, and I know that's quite shocking to hear, but that's how bad we've looked. Genuinely, like, you wouldn't think that the players that you see on paper are the ones performing on the pitch. It's like they've all been space jammed, and all the power has been taken from them. I don't know what's going on at the moment, but you mentioned the squad there. This squad has enough quality. Rumours are that we might be bolstering the squad a little bit in the summer, obviously with certain players leaving. Calvin Phillips' name is being mentioned. What are your thoughts on him from Leeds? Would you take him?
I think we have to go with better options. I would prefer Rice over Phillips. Because I think Phillips is a better player.
£150 million Rice, though.
It's a bargain, really. Yeah. I mean,
let's have two of Declan Rice, but 150 million is, for me, look, I love Declan Rice and I think he's an outstanding player, but that's just ridiculous money, isn't it? We keep talking about being ripped off for players, and yeah, that's crazy money. Obviously, Phillips will be a lot cheaper, but as you say, he's just not as good as Declan Rice, is he?
Yeah, I think with Phillips, I don't mind taking him, but we haven't seen much of him when he's at Leeds because obviously due to the injury. But I think with Phillips, I think he could do a better job than McFred for sure. But
well, he plays that lone role in the CDM, and I think that's what we need. Somebody who's responsible enough to do that. I think Phillips is a very good player, and I think especially if Leeds went down, which I know is unlikely now with the situation at the bottom, but with them there or thereabouts, so you'd think that he'd be tempted, especially if we got Europe, which again is looking unlikely. How would you feel? Like, obviously, because at the moment you're saying we're looking more Europa League. I don't know about you. I would prefer to have a season out of Europe completely than playing that competition. So a Champions League or nothing, in my opinion. I'd rather see us have a season out. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna go with you because we've seen Arsenal out of Europe and they have drastically improved. And I think when you look at how they're building under Arteta, they've had a massive improvement. So I think yes, I think it's beneficial to be out of Europe because we can concentrate more on the league and concentrate more on getting top four. But yeah, I think Europa. I don't mind getting Europa League. Like I said, I don't mind getting Europa League, but yeah, I think it's better to be out of Europe than being in the Europa League or even the Conference League.
Yeah, I just think it's one of them where with the hectic fixtures, with the squad that we're going to have, well, looking like we're going to have, European football might not be that bad if we miss it out for a season, and I hate saying that, but I'm not saying I'd rather do that than not have Champions League. Of course, I want to get Champions League football. That's where we should always be. But what I'm saying is, if we miss out on that, which is looking likely, is the Europa League, like Lone Stars are there, more of a nuisance? Do you know what I mean, to our season? But we'll see what happens. We'll see where we end up. But yeah, in terms of this season, like honest opinion, to round off our conversation, where do you think we'll finish in the league?
Maybe 6. Top 6.
That's heartbreaking.
No, because I think
you're right.
I think Arsenal are better form than us at the moment, and Spurs are better form than us at the moment. They look like they are fighting for top 4 more than us. So I think maybe 6, top 6, which I don't want, but I think
Yeah, well, we can always hope. I do believe teams in and around us will drop points. I also believe we'll drop points. So it sounds awful, but I guess it's who drops more gets those top 4 spaces, isn't it? And that's how it is as United fans at the minute. I have no hope. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much, Shivan, for coming on. I appreciate your call. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and you'll be back again soon.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Have a good rest of your evening.
Wait, I have a question. Who do you think will get top 4?
Who do I think will get top 4? I think the way Spurs are playing at the minute with Conte, I think I'd have to say that I think they're going to sneak in. And I hate to say it, but Conte, I think, is a great manager, and I think we missed the trick by not getting him in. So yeah, I think Spurs will nick it. Obviously, Chelsea are there. I think Chelsea will come back into form. I know they had a bit of a wobble recently against Brentford and whatnot, but I do think Chelsea will come back into form. I think Tuchel's a very good manager. So yeah, I think Spurs will pick it. That's my prediction anyway. I should have said United. I should have been confident on Man United, but yeah, I have to be honest. So that's my opinion anyway. But yeah, thank you so much, Shivan. I appreciate it. Thank you. You take care. Yeah, great chat there with Shivan. So much to talk about. And I've got a lot of United fans. I've got a lot of United fans in the chat. But obviously, if there's any other rival fans who want to come and talk as well, because at the moment, us United fans are just drained. I'll be honest, we're drained. We need some positivity. I need some positivity anyway. I have got a Chelsea fan in Nippon joining me next. Nippon, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. What do you want to talk about this evening?
I wanted to start with the Ten Hag appointment. Honestly, think he's a really good fit for you guys. But I've seen a lot of people, not me in particular, a lot of YouTubers, content creators saying that just screams Van Gaal 2.0. No. And speaking of him, I really hope he recovers from his cancer. And look, if England and Spain don't make it further than Holland, I hope Holland go on and win the World Cup, just so that it leaves a legacy. Like, say if he doesn't make it to the World Cup, I hope they win it in his honor. But say if he's there for the World Cup, but then he, I'd hate to say this, but then he goes to the other side shortly afterwards, he would have at least seen his country win something.
Yeah, so you think it's his legacy?
Yeah, provided
honestly,
that.
Thank God. I know he had a lot of stick, and I think the way that we treated him was disgusting, I'll be honest, after winning the FA Cup. But he was a guy that, whether you liked his football or not, and don't get me wrong, at times it was making you want to pull your hair out, so I get it. But, on camera and stuff and in interviews, he was such an entertaining guy, such a likeable guy. You couldn't dislike him.
Yeah, he was a shithouse as well. Remember when he played Liverpool? And remember when he dived in front of Luis Suarez?
I do. It's just, that was Arsenal. Was it Arsenal? I swear that was Arsenal. Get in the chat and let me know, guys. But I remember him diving, clearly. Lying on his back, on the touchline. I remember it.
Arsenal are a dirty team anyway, though. But
what about Chelsea, Nippon? What's your thoughts on that with you guys?
Look, look. All I'm going to say is, you will have no excuses from me. I am to Chelsea what Arsenal. I am the Chelsea version of Lee Garner, if you want to put it that way.
Okay.
You will have absolutely no. We were dog shit. And you know what? When Benzema scored a hat trick, I wasn't even mad. Have you heard the saying, if you don't laugh? Yeah, look, he's a great player. I mean, have you heard the saying, if you don't laugh, you will cry?
Yep. I'll say
I
a lot as a United fan.
I basically laughed when we conceded the third goal. And that's the point it got to. That I was like, you know what, let me just laugh at my team so that the rivals don't have to.
Yeah, I think, you know what, Real Madrid, you have to give them credit that in that competition, they're just renowned, aren't they? They're relentless.
Yeah.
Benzema is
Look.
I mean, best striker in the world is what a lot of people are saying. Obviously, he's got competition in terms of Lewandowski and that, but Benzema for me has just been, over the years, just absolute quality. I think kind of his shine was taken by Ronaldo for many years at Real Madrid, and now he's coming into that light, isn't he? He's proven the player he is. But Chelsea, you scored one goal. You're still in it, kind of.
Hope so. I did put out a tweet saying, I don't know if you saw it, but I put out a tweet saying, like, there was this one guy who said, he put a picture of Kai Havertz saying there's still hope. And I quote retweeted him saying, if by any miracle we turn this tie on its head, I will take a random Twitter follower I know to a restaurant of their choice.
So you're not feeling too confident, then I better come back in that tie.
Nope. Who knows? It could be a Nando's or it could be a Michelin star. So I could be up to £30 or up to £300 down the drain.
I know I'll be choosing.
I'll tell you what. But I'll tell you what, it will be the best money I would have spent if that happens.
You know what? I mean, it's in the nicest way possible, but I do hope you have to pay that money just to see if that actually comes off, to be fair. Because like you said that publicly now, for us all to see.
Look, I basically said, I made another dare that in front of a deluded, there are a lot of deluded fans, Liverpool fans out there. But I said in front of him, like he was saying, oh, we're winning the quadruple. I'm saying, if Liverpool win a trophy this season, I will grow. Yeah, he's right in my opinion. I will grow a moustache and then shave half of it off, which I did.
You're true to your word then.
Yeah, if you move. By the way, once you end the stream, I need you to check. I sent you an email regarding my podcast.
Oh, I'll have a look for you, Nippon. I'll have a look. Okay. Is it under your name, Nippon? Yeah. Yeah.
It's under my name.
Oh, I'll have a look for you, Nippon. Thank you for joining me. It's nice to talk to a fan from a different club. Obviously, in terms of the whole situation at Chelsea, I know it's still very much in the air with what's going to happen. But in terms of this season, are you confident that you're going to finish top four?
I would say we would. I think we will, purely because of the competition around us.
Yeah. I think you will. I think you will.
Look, the thing is with I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, the thing.
Top four, you're confident.
Top four, I'm confident. We'll probably. I don't want to hold my hopes on the FA Cup. Look, I think it will take for our board to realise a season without any trophies to realise what we really are.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just hope we don't get the rickets at the end of the day. Like, all banter aside, a family like that should never own a football club, especially in a country with such history with cultures. And a family like that shouldn't be nowhere near owning a club like Chelsea.
Yeah.
And plus, look, all banter and rivalries aside, I do not wish you to have owners like the Glazers. Or as much as I hate them with a burning passion, as much as a lot of Man United fans would hate Liverpool with a burning passion, I really don't want Arsenal under the Cronkies. I really don't want Arsenal to have the Cronkies. Because
well, hopefully a solution is found soon for you fans, because the situation that's what I feel for in this whole thing is that there's the fans, because this is ultimately who affects mainly. So hopefully there is a solution soon, and you do get an owner that you guys respect and are fans of. Is it still there where you can't buy tickets at the moment, or has that been lifted now?
I think it's just for home Premier League games. I think away games and cup games you're still allowed. I might try and get one for the Palace game. Okay,
cool. Well, Nippon, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I see you out and about, so to take the time to come on, I do appreciate it so much.
Yeah, when's your next call-in show?
I'll do one every week. I'm hoping to get on a Monday. That's my ideal day, but this week work and stuff, it was just a bit manic. So I'm hoping that I'll say Monday. I'll do a tweet numerous days before just to let people know as well. Hopefully I'll get to speak to you again.
Yeah, hopefully you come on my podcast as well.
Yes, definitely. I'll email you back and we'll see what time you're thinking. All right. You take care, Nippon.
See you soon.
See ya. Bye. Bye. A great call from Nippon there. Chelsea fan. Very different scenario from us fans at the moment. But to be fair, Chelsea have had obviously the result yesterday and the Brentford result at the weekend, which I thought was a madness. And so happy for Eriksen to score as well. I think as a football fan, most fans that was quite heartwarming to see that. And Brentford are just such an entertaining team to watch as well. I think I always appreciate good football, and Brentford do play that. And next up, we've got Curlers jumping on. Curlers, thank you so much for joining me again. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you very clearly. What do you want to talk about tonight, Curlers? There's so much going on at the minute.
Well, I'll keep it short and sweet for a change. Something like yourself. I would just point out, even with the Ten Hag appointment, it's still not done enough for me.
Of course,
I still think this is going to be decided in the summer. Just exactly where United are going to be in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I think if they hand them a small budget, you can see he's finishing top 7 every season for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in fairness to the chat, when we were talking about the kids, I think you'll see a lot of them next season in the first team, but I think we'll be forced to bring them in because with the amount of people going out the door, there's no way we're going to have enough funds to replace all the quality that we lose. So those kids are going to have to come in and we're going to have to blood them and see how we go.
Yeah, I think this summer is an interesting one. I mentioned it earlier, not just about players that we're going to sell or we're going to buy, but about those young players who are going to be given an opportunity, definitely. Mm-hmm. What young players, like I mentioned Garner earlier, do you think that he should be given a shot now in that midfield for us?
I probably would like to see Garner. I would probably like to see Hannibal. I don't understand that the hang-up with Hannibal. It goes to the AFCON, which is one of the most difficult competitions to play in because it is just so physical. And it was absolutely fantastic in that. And yet he can't get a game for Man United, but we can give a game to Jesse Lingard, to Juan Mata, to Phil Jones, for Christ's sake. It just defies logic. I mean, Ahmad as well, Palestri. We seem to sign these kids. And then
what is it like? Do you think it's like a name thing? Is it just like a big name thing, an ego thing, like the same players being put in?
I've said it for long enough. For anybody that follows anything that I say on Twitter, it's all about short sale names. Look at this. Look at the summer. It's a classic example. What did we do? We signed 3 players. And all were massive short selling names. Sancho, Varane. I mean, Ronaldo. Look at the madness that went with trying to get a Ronaldo shirt out the shop. You had to wait months to get one. Months. That's all they're doing.
You're spot on.
They haven't bought. And they continue not to want to buy an engine for this club.
Yeah. You are right. We're going for the glamorous names, aren't we? The ones that, like you said, will sell shirts because they're more of a big...
I had to go and get a central defender. Who did we go for? 80 million quid, Maguire. Guy's a walking, talking ulcer, that guy. But we're not allowed to boo him, by the way.
No, you can't.
It's hilarious. No.
You can do this to the fans, though.
No, I can't actually say because I would have to swear to say what my mate said to him when he was at a United game, but he shouted over to him, I'll clean it up, he shouted over to him, he says, "Hey Fridge," he says, "we're not allowed to boo you, so I'll just call you useless CUNT," which is what he did shout to him, as nice as you like, but there you go.
I think with Maguire, I'll be honest, I'm not a type, I don't boo my own players. Like, do you know what I mean? It's never entered my head to boo my own players. But like, booing is a part of football, was what I was going to add on to it. Like, he literally taunted the fans with the whole hand in the ears thing. I think if you're going to it's almost like if you can't take it, don't give it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. I think abuse is different to criticism, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it anyway.
I'm old enough to remember the Beckham incident in the World Cup where he kicked out and got sent off, and then he came home and the next game he had to play
hanging dummy and stuff.
West Ham, with that West Ham thing with the mannequin hanging over the gates and all the rest of it, and death threats. I mean, it's that sort of sickness I can't abide. That literally is old-fashioned football and the way it used to be. But no, as I say, he's not done anything at all for me to justify not being good.
Hasn't, no. His performances haven't been good enough. Definitely
Maguire reminds me of one of those extras you see in a movie where it's like a horror movie or whatever, and the aliens attack, and everybody's running back to save their life, and they sort of look back and bang, and they're gone. That's what it's like. There's no coordination, there's no nothing. It's just complete and utter chaos. Run for your life. I don't know what I'm doing, and then, you're nowhere. And it's been the whole season. I mean, the first game of the season, I said, look at that goal that we conceded. He backed off the player and then he turned his back, and that then allowed the Leeds player to rifle that.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. He actually
remember
turned his back. And I said then that was a bad sign for this club, the way we just partied and then refused to tackle.
He shouldn't have been given the captaincy, definitely. That's 100%. Obviously, what we paid was ridiculous, but giving him the captaincy straight away, I think, was the wrong thing.
You're just doubling down on,
Look, I me, I'm quite level-headed, I'd like to think, and I'm not one to rain abuse at a player and constantly slate a player, but I will point out poor performances, and Maguire's definitely not been good enough. But what I will say, when he was playing for England in the Euros, I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
So what is it? Like, is it the expectancy of United? Is that why he's not coping? Is it the captain's armband? Because there is a good player in there. Like, we can all openly see that there is.
I think it's fair to say
this season, it's been shocking.
There, but I think the problem with him, for me, is his attitude.
Yeah.
I think he's came in with this big ego thing, and it's just not worked for him.
It's definitely not worked for him. Definitely not. I'm guessing you're of the idea that he won't be captain next season. Someone else will be named as captain.
I'm hoping not.
Who would you give the armband to?
Probably Varane. Then again, it will depend on who we sign. You might find they might actually buy a captain. I know there's lots of talk on online about Conrad Lemaire.
Yeah.
The Leipzig central defensive midfielder, who I'm hoping that's who we sign, because he is proper quality. He's about 30. I think they'll get him for about 30-40 million quid.
It's not bad, is it? And obviously the other player that we've been linked with today is Calvin Phillips, so we'll ask you about him. Leeds, man, would you take him? You didn't want to think about that, or just go straight in with the answer?
I'm old enough to remember the rivalry with Leeds, but I'm equally, as Maisie said, they've not been in. Oh no, that was somebody else in a podcast who said Leeds haven't really been a threat to United for the longest time. Yeah. So it's not really a thing for me. There's more rivalry now with Chelsea, Liverpool, City. You're probably going to see the Newcastle rivalry again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Calvin Phillips, I would take him if they could get him cheap enough.
But I think that's what it depends on for me, because he's English and we know what happens with English players as well.
As I say, I think Brush nailed it early in the chat. He says, I mean, if we play our cards out, we could actually get Tielemans from Leicester for about 25 million. He's in the last year of his contract.
You see the mould the CDM that we need is my only thing. Obviously, if Pogba goes, you'd probably say Tielemans could possibly come in and replace that kind of position. But is he? Do you know what I mean? I think we need that discipline. And to be fair, I do think Calvin Phillips is that. He is a discipline. He plays that lone role in the CDM. But there's better players out there for me that we should be looking at.
For me,
just depend on price.
Much better. Lemaire is a much better player, probably cheaper as well.
Yeah.
But as I say, if we don't get a CDM, I swear down I will be taking the season off. I don't think Walsers could take it.
I don't think any of us can take much
Well,
more, I'll be honest with you.
it would just kill me because watching the team now it would reduce you to tears.
Yeah.
You know, the lack of just disregard for everything about the club now is beyond belief.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Curlers. Thank you so much for joining me again. I appreciate it. As always, a really interesting call. And hopefully you'll join me again next week. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
And have a lovely rest of your evening as well. And stay positive. Hopefully Ten Hag comes in, brighter days around the corner. But you are right, there's much more to be done. I agree with you there.
I hope Bernardo gets a game. I hope he gets a game against Everton. Because I know he's training with the first team this week. So I'm hoping that kid gets a chance.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. We'll keep smiling, we'll stay positive, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon, Curlers.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I have got 2 more callers waiting, so I'm going to try and flow through. I apologise for keeping you waiting. Knulakainen. Hopefully I'll know how to actually pronounce your name now. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Firstly, let's clear it up. How do I pronounce your name? Let's go for it.
Oh, jeez. How could I forget? So it's a Finnish name. It's pronounced Kanakainen.
Kanakainen. There we go.
Yeah, I can understand if people think that's just such a random name to come up with, but I don't know what it is or why, but I just love Finnish names. And I just kind of mixed it up a little bit together and came up with this.
I like it. I know how to say it. I'm happy with it.
I'm perfectly happy with anyone, no matter they can try it as much as they like. You know, to me it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'm perfectly happy if they just want to shorten it to just Kana. It's completely fine.
That's cool. Well, I know that for future. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, I always see in the chat and I always appreciate the support. So it's nice to actually put a face to a name. What would you like to talk about this evening?
I'll try and keep it as short as I can because I know you've got you've been here a long time. Like I have been kind of listening to all of the other callers that have been on here, and also those in the chat that have tried to make it clear why Erik ten Hag is the next option as manager. But I'm kind of here more wanting to kind of, if I can, say why I think Poch should be the guy to take over. Yeah. I completely understand that many are excited about the prospect of Erik ten Hag and what he's done in Ajax, winning a couple of league titles, and certainly it's good to have a guy with a good resume behind him coming in as manager. But and yes, I understand as well as some say, look, Pochettino isn't a league winner; he didn't win any title. But we must not forget that what he did with Tottenham Hotspur when he made them from a laughing stock into a serious team. With the limited resources he had, like to me, it just strikes. To me, I still feel like it strikes a chord with me. And yes, I know that obviously team success is built on proven winners, and undoubtedly, I know that overwhelmingly Ten Hag is the ideal option. But I still think there's a part of me that thinks we could miss an opportunity here with Pochettino. Of course, look, I'm just the only one. I'm sure it's me against everybody else, so I can understand if people think no, Ten Hag is the option.
I don't think he's you against everyone else. You've seen all the ex-pros, Rooney and people like that as well are all saying, look, no, go for Poch. Poch is the option. From inside the club, the players linked to the club, it seems Poch is the favoured one. And look, I genuinely mean it when I say I would back anybody who's in charge. If Poch was to take over, I think I'd rather have Ten Hag. But you're right, it's from like that excitement, something different, fresh coming in. Poch, obviously, I've seen before. Do you know what I mean? I think Ten Hag can bring something completely different, and that's why I'm favouring that, because I think I've just had enough of us just trying the same old. I'm not saying Poch is the same old, but what I mean is I just want us to think outside the box and just do something completely different, because I think I've just had enough. Do you know what I mean? That's from my point of view. But if Poch came in, like you say, he did do a great job at Spurs, getting to the Champions League final, getting second in the league, missing out just that wonder season from Leicester. Do you know what I mean? He has done a decent job, and we always talk about trophies. But in terms of Ten Hag, he's won trophies in Holland. This is no disrespect, but again, do you know what I mean? I think they're fairly similar in the sense of coming in. Different styles of play, of course. I think a lot more pragmatic, and Ten Hag brings the youth through as well. And I've mentioned here the youth players that we have got that I'd like to see more of, because we're not going to spend too much in the window, it looks like. So I'm thinking who can get the best out of these players. And I saw someone send in the chat earlier, it might have been yourself, I don't know who it was, said Anthony Elanga would really come on under Pochettino and players like that. I wouldn't be against Pochettino in. Was it you? Yeah.
It was me. And yeah, you see, that's exactly what I was getting across. You see, what I think is that it's pretty clear to me the last few seasons have proven with the senior players, it's really hard to get much out of them if this is the best that they can give us. Whereas when you look at the youngsters, as many of the guys were going on about in the chat earlier and in the call-in, it's clear that we have to really start looking more at the youngsters. And as we saw before with Pochettino, what he did for the youngsters, especially at both Southampton and Tottenham Hotspur, think of what he could do with the youngsters at United. But again, as you mentioned it yourself just now, the fact that Ten Hag does have the ability to work well with young players. And look, if he can do that with Man United, that would be brilliant. I'd be more than happy to back him. But it's just the fact that I just have the knowledge of the fact that Pochettino has worked with youngsters and made them better. That's kind of what I'm more kind of resting on.
And he's been in the Prem. And he's been in the Prem, which would also be another pro towards Pochettino, and I get that, of course. But like I say, I just wanted us to do something totally different, something totally new. And I do think that the Ten Hag appointment as well, I'd like to think that they've actually looked at the fans and what that most fans want as well in that decision. But look, it's not all down to the manager. We keep saying it. Look, whoever comes in realistically isn't much going to change unless personnel changes. And we keep saying it, but we know we need changes above as well. But Ten Hag, I'll be happy with. I would be really happy with, but at the same time, I still doubt the players that we've got. I still have those doubts about the players that we have, and that is the biggest concern for me, because the same old performances that we're having, regardless of who's in charge, and that for me is all down to mentality, and it's a mentality issue I think we've had for a long time now. And there's only so much the manager can do. He can't play for them, can he? So, do you know what I mean? I think I doubt the players that we've got at the club at the moment as well. So that's why I think this summer is an interesting one. That's why I'd like to see some of the youth coming in and giving a chance. If we're not going to spend too much money, I think we've got a lot of quality of players who deserve a shot. They must be looking up and looking at the performances of our first team and thinking, what on earth is going on? Like, how am I not getting a look in? Because some of their performances have been outstanding compared to ours in the first team. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping you can come on again soon in the future. I can see I've got Doug and George waiting. Doug, I know he's on his break, so I'm going to try and fly through and get to you, Doug. Don't worry. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you'll be back on. Obviously, I will do my best to pronounce your name right. What was the short version?
Just Kenna is fine.
Kenna. I can remember Kenna. I can do that. But yeah, thank you so much.
I just actually quickly mention something before you move on.
Of course.
I know I mentioned to you, I touched on it a couple of weeks ago where I was let go from my previous job and I was in a bit of a rut. Thankfully, I was actually able to get my approval sorted on a 2-year working visa, so I'll be heading off to a new job in Canada next month.
Fantastic, massive congratulations to you. And I say, when one door closes, another one opens, and I'm so happy that's worked out for you. All the best to you, Kenna, and have a lovely rest of your day as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Hope to see you soon.
Bye. I love that positive news. Positive news. It's nice to have that, especially when it's not football related, because football, especially for United fans, has been so draining. So to hear stories like that, yeah, big fan of it. We've got George joining me. George, thank you so much for coming on again. How are you doing?
Very good, Sophie. Thank you for having me as always. Some
absolute
really good
pleasure
calls tonight as always as well. So pleased to be on as well.
Yeah, there's loads to talk about, to be fair. Obviously, we've touched on it already, the new manager and whatnot, possible players that are going to be leaving, possible players that could be coming in. I'll start with the Phillips rumours with you, because I know you were involved in the chat earlier when we were talking about it. You're like, stay clear of any English players, we know what happens. So yeah, we're linked with Phillips. Go on, what's your opinion on that link?
I don't want him. I think both Phillips and Rice, I really got my sort of, I got my insight into them over the Euros with England. I think those two were quite culpable for the fact that we lost against Italy in that final. The fact that we couldn't, obviously we got that 1-goal lead, but we couldn't control the match. And ultimately it was the fact that we couldn't retain possession. And obviously you saw with the Italian midfield, is obviously with Barella, Verratti, Jorginho, and players like that. You saw the difference in quality on the ball, and I think that's ultimately what we need. We need players who are incredibly adept on the ball and very press resistant. And I think with Phillips and Rice, for me, like I said, I think it's so often the case. Unfortunately, I've already spoke about this previously, but that British media hyping players up. And I think that's again the case with Phillips as well. I think just because he's English, it's exactly the same thing.
It happens. Yeah.
So,
I do like Phillips. I like him, but I do think better options out there. I always said Phillips, if Leeds went down, that's when I'd take a cheeky punt at him, because I think, you know what, we're getting for cheap. He's going to want to play in the Champions League, in the Premier League. Not going to get Champions League, unfortunately, by the looks of it. But in the Premier League, he's going to want to play, and I think that's when I'd take a punt at him, because I do think he's a decent player. I think he'd be a very decent squad player for us. But like I said, I do think there's better options out there. I mean, someone's already mentioned there, Neves as well was one that we were linked with in the past. Why is his name not being mentioned as much now as well? We're hearing a lot about Rice and Phillips, but not much about Neves. And he's another one that I think we should be looking at over Phillips. But yeah, we will see what happens. Apparently, we're not going to be spending too much money in the summer. So that does mean that the possibility of youth coming through. Would you be all for that? Would you be up for giving them a chance? Because I think right now, as a United fan, we just want to see something different, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the case, is that we need to see players who actually care, who are actually hungry for it. I mean, obviously, I know that it's been spoken about previously, but obviously one of the topics within your sort of chat description was about the Real Madrid, was obviously about Chelsea Real Madrid, which was a match that I sort of watched, and that was a massive lesson what Real Madrid did to Chelsea. That was a massive lesson in what Man United, the sort of players that Man United need to try and recruit, because that was just an absolute masterclass. Obviously, Benzema sort of typifies everything about Real Madrid. The fact, how hard he works as well, in terms of chasing players down, obviously on the goal, obviously the third one especially, and just throughout the night he's chasing, and he's also holding up plays, moving over to the left to receive the ball. He was just absolutely everywhere. And he was absolutely, it was just phenomenal. And again, obviously, even
that header, the second one, honestly, and a lot of people won't really talk about it, but I'm thinking, like, from a footballer's point of view, when you're like on the back foot like that, like literally running backwards, ultimately to get the power to put it in the opposite corner, it's just immense. Like that kind of header, I think he went underrated yesterday. Like, I think that just typifies how good of a finisher he really is.
Yeah, I think it was just everything. All the players. The main sort of lesson, other than the fact, obviously, of the quality of Real Madrid, the fact was that it's the togetherness of them as well. It's the fact that everyone moves for each other. It was just. It was quite.
I saw Militao at one point doing Inception and full on celebrating it like a goal. I love to see that. It was that passion, amazing. Like to, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, they were all
Chelsea
sort of
losing
moving for each other. They were all sort of moving for each other. If there was ever a person that was in trouble, they moved into space for them. It was just unbelievable, and it just shows how well drilled and how together a team like Real Madrid are. And another sort of major player that we really missed out on, obviously, was David Alaba. Obviously, he was the one that went to them for free. He was one of the centre backs we were linked with as well, and he was outrageous as well last night. And obviously, I've seen him, even against PSG as well in that second leg. He was a massive difference maker, because he just oozes quality. Again, he's so composed on the ball, and he
really experienced as well.
He just gets out of all the presses and everything. He's such a big difference maker for Real Madrid. This term round. And it was just very, for me, it was just a bit dispiriting, the fact that obviously Man United is so far away from what that level is on a different planet at the moment for Man United. Like, that's why I think, obviously, even with Ten Hag coming in, we're still so far away from that level of consistency and that level of, as I said, togetherness, and everyone plays for each other. And everyone moves, everyone always tracks back, everyone chases, and they all work hard. And compared to Man United have hardly any players that work at all. And that's what you have to do. You have to mix the quality with the effort levels, and that's what players like, for example, obviously Luka Modric, Kroos, Casemiro, obviously their midfield. They've played hundreds of games. They're into their 30s now, and yet still they've got that hunger and that desire.
So they always want the ball.
Yeah, they always
want it. Yeah. And
I
think with us, you are spot on when you're watching games like that. The quality difference is just insane, because when someone's got the ball, you have two. I mean, you coached it from a kid, but you can see they're literally so well drilled. 2 or 3 options, the second get it in triangles. You've always got to pass on. And when you're watching us play, we're just so static and so slow, and it's like nobody wants the ball. And you are right; it's those individual moments. We don't play as a team. There's no cohesive feel about the way that we are playing, and yet it just when you're watching games like that, it just heightens it, doesn't it? Even teams like West Ham, you're watching them this season, how they played against Sevilla, and like I can't remember last time we had a performance where I thought, you know what, we seemed like a real team. Then we seemed like a unit. I mean, we always say, when was the last consistent performance we had from United for a 90-minute period where we dominated? And I genuinely can't think of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, unfortunately,
And that's worrying.
we've got
You know what I
rid of
mean?
it, but that's ultimately the Champions League. Obviously, like I said, there was not only obviously Real Madrid versus PSG as well. It's the fact that in that match as well that you saw, just unbelievable team spirit, and it's just the same.
Endeavour,
Like I
yeah.
said, it's just quite depressing because Man United. It's not as if. That's why we sort of talk about the position that we're in, and we're in such a bad position because unfortunately to learn how to play as a team takes a lot of effort and a lot of time working with one another. And obviously Real Madrid have benefited from the fact that they've got a lot of veterans in there that have been playing together for years. Obviously, Carvajal was brilliant as well. There were so many stellar performances. But not only that, obviously their recruitment as well is on a different level from us because obviously they're probably going to get Mbappe, Tchouaméni. That's why I was bringing this in a roundabout way. Not only obviously talking about Real Madrid's work ethic, but also the fact of recruitment as well. When we're talking about CDMs, obviously Tchouaméni's probably going to go to them as well. So that's another.
Yeah, another player mistake. Camavinga went there.
Yeah.
Bellingham obviously went to Dortmund. Another player that we thought we should have snapped up when he was obviously there or thereabouts when he was breaking out really. I'm gonna finish on this point with you, George. Because I know Doug is waiting, bless him, and he's on his break because I know we could talk for hours. But Fabrizio tweeted 32 minutes ago. You may have seen it. Luke Shaw contract extension in the coming weeks, as expected, and United have an option to extend the deal into June 2024, but want to negotiate with Shaw after Bruno's new deal. And the same clause is also included into Rashford's current contract as well. So I know Bruno's out the way. They want to move on to Luke Shaw. What's your thoughts on that? And everyone in the chat as well.
I mean, ultimately, I think we sort of already touched on this. I think last call-in show because I think Bruno was going to get his new contract then as well, wasn't it? I think it was about that time. That I think the major issue with Man United in terms of this sort of work ethic is the fact that we've got so many well-paid players, and our wage structure is obviously a joke, which we all know about that anyway. It's not it's no sort of mystery surrounding that. But the fact is that if you pay people more than they're worth, then it completely screws up the entire system because obviously the current players that are there, they're on easy street. They've got nothing to work for. They're getting paid more than players who are actually winning things. So and ultimately they don't care. But not only that, but let's say that these players, for example, even with Shaw. Obviously, we've already talked on Shaw and stuff, and he's had a very inconsistent career, should we say, at Man United.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to get those wages anywhere else. That's the thing. A lot of our players won't be able to get those wages anywhere else, and that's obviously a thing where it means that's why they'll sort of an easy treat at United. But not only that, and this is even more crucial, is that if they are flops, and we have got quite a few who are on expensive wages, no other team can afford them, and that means we can't get rid of them. So I'm not quite sure how the United board, from a financial aspect of even reconciled this. But ultimately, it just means that we're in a real state, and obviously, and I don't even know if I don't think there's actually any way. Obviously, you talked about the youth and stuff, and maybe bringing in cheaper players as well on smaller wages. That's the only way you can try and do it, and then get rid of some of the higher wages. But unfortunately, I think the straw's already broken, so to speak, in the fact that our wage structure is broken completely. Obviously, for example, De Gea's been paid ridiculous money as well. And there's no way to resolve it. So just as the very final point, I don't agree with it on Shaw. I think I don't think he necessarily justifies it. And not only that, but also I believe there was a rumor about Ranić maybe not thinking he was good enough anyway. So I'm not quite sure who's made the decision to get extended.
Who knows? So, who knows? And obviously, like new contracts before a manager is due to come in as well, I think is a bit of a weird one. Yes. But everything's weird about how this club is run, so I'm not even shocked anymore. I think that's how I would summarise it. But George, thank you so much for joining me. As always, an absolute pleasure. And some really good points made. Like I said, I feel like we could talk for hours, especially about the current issues at United, because there's so many of them. But hopefully you'll be back next week. And I look forward to seeing you in the chat as well. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. I've got Doug, obviously a Liverpool fan. I always say it's all right for a Scouse. I'm only joking, Doug. But thank you so much for coming on, because I know you are at work, so I appreciate you taking the time. How you doing? I can't hear you, Doug. You're muted.
I'm mute. That's what happens when you're muted. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I've broken up from work today, so yeah, I'm extra good. I've got 2 weeks to just chill and not not do work. But United could still ruin that mood early on Saturday, of course. But yeah, Liverpool at the moment, good win obviously in the Champions League midweek. Massive game this weekend. I mean, how are you feeling going into that one?
Nervous. I suppose you have to enjoy these kind of times. But yeah, I think if we win, it puts down a big marker. Draw, it's not quite over yet, but if we lose, 4 points is a big gap to have until the end of the season. I think there's about 7 or 8 games left anyway. But it's going to be a big game. It's a big game on Sunday, and I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward from a neutral point of view. But to be fair, it's mad how Liverpool seemed out of it earlier in the season. You felt like they weren't going to compete for the league, and to now have it as tight as it is, I think it obviously credits it to what Liverpool have done. And players who stood, and you might correct me on this one, but when I do watch Liverpool, which is rare because it just makes me bitter watching Liverpool, but players who I think have stood out are players like Diogo Jota. A lot of obviously talk about Salah, his new contract. He hasn't signed a new contract at the moment. I can see Doug's been interrupted at work, so we'll keep talking about Liverpool at the moment, which I don't like doing for long, but I'm going to carry on anyway. But yeah, Salah, obviously there's the whole contract situation with him, and he hasn't really been hitting the heights. Obviously going out of AFCON, the man who did not qualifying for the World Cup as well, maybe that's taken its toll. But I feel like Jota is the one. Whenever Liverpool seem to need a goal, he's a big game player. He always seems to step up to the plate and be able to finish it. So, yeah, I think Liverpool, to be fair, what they've done, like George said there, they've put together an amazing winning record over the past few months. And like I say, it's credit to them. But I do think players like Jota, some of the goals that he has popped up with, it always, whenever Liverpool are in need, Doug, it seems to be Jota who is the guy who steps up.
Yeah, and the thing is with me as well, I think Diaz was the pivotal one for me. Getting him in was a very, very good time as well. We bolstered the attack when we needed to. We just needed someone to sort of bolster that attack. Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota. I suppose you could put Mino and Origi in there. The fact that we've had 20 different goal scorers as well is absolutely incredible. And obviously, the Champions League, you would expect us to go through now. Benfica have done it before against us, but I just feel that this team at the moment, I feel that we can go on a bit of a wee run in the Champions League. Bayern Munich or Villarreal next. It's going to be a difficult game anyway. And the first leg's at Anfield as well. But we've got some tough games coming up. I think we've got a double here against We've actually got 3 games in a row against the Manchester clubs. Got 2 against City, and we've got the one against you on next Tuesday.
That one will just be a training game for you guys. I wouldn't worry too much about that one. That's how I feel at the moment, honestly. I'm hoping we can step up. I was hoping that the first time we played, I was at Old Trafford. So, yeah, we will see what happens. But, yeah, I do think that game at the weekend, if Liverpool win that, then I think it's going to make it... already is interesting, but it's going to make it an extremely interesting end to the season as to who's going to win that title. And I'm excited to watch that game because I think it's going to be a really tight one. But go on, give us a cheeky little early score prediction for that game.
I think it might be a draw. I actually think it might be a draw, just to be realistic. I think we won 1 in 10 there at the Etihad. So, early prediction, I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. Interesting. And again, that would still keep it very, very tight and interesting at the top of the table, wouldn't it? So, yeah, that would be... Yeah, I'm looking forward to the game, definitely, Doug. Hopefully, we'll get to do a show as well prior to the game between ourselves and, obviously, Liverpool. I'd like to get you on at some point for a preview where you're not obviously rushing, so I know you are at work, bless you. But, yeah, I think this week for Liverpool, obviously, is a massive one, isn't it, in terms of what happens against City. And I'm sure you guys... You've got to be feeling confident, though. You've got to be feeling confident going into that with your current form at the moment. You have to be, surely.
Well, as we said, the Etihad's a very, very tricky place to go to. And it's two fantastic sides playing football. We could be in for a cracker on Sunday. Yeah,
I hope so. From a neutral point of view, I hope so. We're nowhere near the title, so for me, it's purely a neutral viewing. But we will see what happens. And in terms of United, Ten Hag, we'll round off on this because I know you might have to shoot off. But do you think that would be a good appointment for us?
I think it's a great appointment. But the only problem I think you have got is whoever comes in will need to get his ideas across. And I think the only things really holding Man United back are the Glazers.
Yeah, you're right. And we've known that for so long, and it hurts, doesn't it? But I do think it's a good move bringing him in. But as you mentioned, that there are still other issues that need to be addressed as well. But hopefully we do see an improvement on the pitch with him coming in and his tactical prowess as well. But it's not confirmed yet, so we'll hold back until it is. But Doug, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully the rest of your shift doesn't go too badly for you. Hopefully it flies by. And yeah, I'll message you at some point about that preview. But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. All the best.
My pleasure.
All the best, Doug.
All the best.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure. Love chatting to Doug. As a Liverpool fan, I think it's find it difficult because I'm very bitter, and I'm open about that when I speak to Liverpool fans because of the situation they're in at the minute. But Doug, very level-headed, and it's always a good chat. I am going to round off with the show with Brush, who is waiting in the background to jump on. And obviously, if you've got any questions to ask, guys, get in the chat and ask away as well. This is going to be my last call for tonight. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I definitely have. And yeah, Brush. How are we doing?
Hey, so it was quite depressing listening to that last call because it just reminds us how far we've dropped off.
I know. Literally, I like talking to Doug, who's level-headed. He's the only one I can feasibly talk to, manageably, because he doesn't rub it in too much. But even so, seeing the smile on his face, talking about 20 different goal scorers here, that just cut me deep, I'll be honest. But we move. Yeah, Bruce, what do you want to talk about tonight? Obviously, we discussed a lot of topics.
Obviously, it looks like Ten Hag's the one that's going to come in. I'm fairly happy with the appointment, but like we've mentioned earlier today, I think this is just the first step in things that we need to do to get right.
Yeah.
So we can't rest on our laurels. I've been hearing rumours over the last day or two as well about Paul Mitchell over at Monaco potentially coming in. That would be interesting to look at, and structurally has been our issues for the longest. So that would go some way to addressing that.
Yeah, and big up to Doug. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the Dugout channel as well. I'll shout that out for him. He's working at the moment, bless him, in Tesco. But yes, go and give him a follow. That would be nice for him to finish his shift and see a few more subs on there. So make sure you go and check that out. But yeah, you are right. That is the first thing, really. We know many things need to change. Many players will be leaving. Some of it Pogba, as we know, is going to be out the door. I think we're all kind of wise to that now. But in terms of the players linked to coming in, obviously I mentioned Phillips and whatnot. But who would your ideal midfield signing be if you had a choice?
Oh, so
Declan Rice aside, because 150 mil.
That's pretty much the reason why I would avoid him. It's just because I know we're going to be on a budget, and I would rather we don't waste the vast majority of it on one player. Because as quality as I think Rice is, I think we'll be sat here this time next year saying, "Where's it all gone wrong?" If he was the main guy to come in, I'd rather we be smart in the market and look for opportunities.
And I think that's what we haven't been, isn't it? We have not been smart for a while now. We've been signing the big names, and as we know, that doesn't always work out, does it? So you are right. I think we need to start looking at those players that are under the radar. If it is true that Ten Hag comes in, there are rumours that Anthony could be coming with him, or even Timber as well. I mean, are they the kind of signings that you would like to see?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's a different kettle of fish coming to United from Ajax. So I just hope that if he does bring one or two players over, that the weight of expectation isn't too much. It's a totally different ballgame. I quite like Ryan Gravenberch as well in their midfield. I know Bayern Munich are looking at him. He's only 20 years old.
Yeah, I know Bayern are definitely looking at him. He's another one. Camavinga was one that I felt like we should have looked at. I mentioned him earlier, but not CDM, but Bellingham is another one that you see him flourish now. And I'm just thinking, why did we not go in for him? But it's players like that we should be looking at. But we have also got someone, a little James Garner, playing at Forest, who, to be fair, has been impressing quite a few people.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. So I reckon we're going to see a lot of the youngsters be blooded into the team, and then that mixed with one or two experienced heads will hopefully see us through.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we need that balance. I think at the moment, obviously with Alanga coming in, it was so refreshing to see that, wasn't it? Someone coming on and just being fearless and just running at players and doing something exciting, getting like fans off the edge of their seat. We haven't seen it for so long because we see the same. I mean,
the wage structure as well. I know George touched on it briefly. It's something that we need to address. And already, I think in the chat and stuff, we were talking about contract extensions being given out to certain players, and it just baffles me. The Bruno one, I mean, I don't think Bruno's a bad player by any means, but I certainly would have waited till the summer at least. I think the manager should have a say in who he wants to play and who he doesn't want. So things like that.
Yeah, I think he's going to want to have a look, isn't he? He's going to want to have a little look at the squad and see.
And I just didn't think there was any rush, because Bruno already had 3 years left on his deal, taking him up to the age of 30. You know, so there was no rush really, apart from maybe a wage rise. But again, that's something we need to look at. Should we be giving wage rises to people? We need to curb that.
Yeah, going back, I read that as well. He's already agreed with Bayern Munich. Yeah, Meg, hopefully we'll be back on soon. We have had a few WhatsApp and whatnot. She just want to get back into it. She is doing good. She's just obviously got her own family and she's just had a lot on. But yeah, she'll be back on soon. No worries about that. But yeah, obviously, in terms of midfield, we mentioned that. You mentioned Anthony would be another wide option for us. What would you do in Martial? Like, if you were Ten Hag coming in? Because obviously you've seen him play. You've seen him at Sevilla, what he's done there as well. I mentioned it earlier, he's 26. You'd think that at this point now, he is in his prime.
Yeah,
you're very much done and dusted now. Is it time to move on?
Yeah, I think he made it clear in Jan, so that he doesn't want to be here anymore. I mean, you know, I was actually quite looking forward to seeing more of him in Jan. Actually, I thought, you know what, under Ralph, this could be the fresh start he wanted, but he wanted to move on, and his contract is running out as well. So this summer is the last time we'll get to actually sell him. Yeah,
I think he has to. I think if you're going out on loan, even from his perspective, if you're put out on loan after being at a club for so long, I think it kind of feels like the end of it. Do you know what I mean? It feels like, how do you go back from that? It's very rare you'll see a player go back from that. So I do very much expect to see him go.
Yeah.
And if he does go, like we know we've got Ronaldo, Cavani will be going. We need to sign a centre forward. So the other thing is, like, what striker would you be looking at? Because I know obviously Haaland is rumoured to be going to City. A lot of people saying go for Harry Kane. I would love Harry Kane at United, I would, but if we're not in Europe and if Spurs do people to top four, which is what I've said might happen, I can't see that.
And the thing with Kane, Soph, I think for me, it's the age and the you know, the cost that would put me off. I would prefer we go for someone a lot younger. So I know at the moment there's a lot of buzz around. Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around Darwin Núñez at the moment. I've heard that Dortmund are eyeing up Salzburg's Karim Adeyemi as the replacement for Haaland. Okay. But that's the kind of smart signing I'd like to see us go for. And, you know, Ronnie's on big wages. There's every chance that he's going to stay for another year. So you don't need like just an out-and-out superstar to come in. You know, whoever comes in, we can sort of rotate them around and use Ronnie when needed. Because obviously he brings that experience and quality as well.
Yeah. I agree. And obviously Harry Kane, if he leaves Spurs, it's because he wants to win things and he ain't going to win nothing before he's out of Europe.
Yeah, so you'd have to question it as well if he came to United at this point in time. You'd think, oh, is it for the money?
Yeah, doesn't make sense. So interesting to see. I hope we get someone going under the radar, as you mentioned there. I think that's the kind of signings we should be making. I remember, and I always use this example, but I remember watching Robertson playing for Hull back in the day and saying he looks like an absolute baller. He stood out above the rest. And I was thinking at the time, like, why aren't we looking at him? Next thing I know, signs for Liverpool, and now look at him. Do you know what I mean? And it's just players
one
like
player
that
I wanted to get your opinion on, so
yeah,
kind of under the radar. Out Nouri, the left back at Wolves. What do you make of him?
You know what? I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of him, but what I have seen him, I like it. I remember against Liverpool, my dad obviously always talks to me about the Wolves games. I was actually in Spain at the point that they were playing, so I didn't see the game. And obviously Wolves lost out with last few seconds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Nouri went off injured, and my dad was saying how he had been outstanding for the entire game, and the second that he went off, obviously they conceded. And I remember, like, I watched Match of the Day and stuff, and I saw a few clips, and he impresses me. I'll need to see more, if I'm honest. But again, that kind of player is what we should be looking at. Like, why are Wolves signing players like that? Like, we should be doing this for upcoming, like, promising players. Lamptey is one that I definitely would be drawn to right now if I'm at United. Very similar situation, really. But I think Nouri is very, very good. I'm trying to think what other fullbacks at the moment I'd be thinking, because obviously we talk about Wan-Bissaka a lot. Nuno Mendes is another one of those players that I feel like we should be looking at.
Quality, isn't he?
Yeah, and why aren't we doing it? Do you know what I mean? And he's baffling, and us as fans can do it. We can see these players, because people have been talking likes of Mendes, likes of Bellingham before he went to Dortmund, prior to them getting these big moves. So why aren't the clubs seeing it? They're the professionals who are paid to scout these players. Why is it
exactly, especially a club of our size and stature? Why is it that we always wait for them to make that next step up and then come in, 2 seasons later with the ridiculous fee? Why aren't we doing it earlier? If you look at clubs like Porto and Benfica as well, year after year, they just churn out these talents that they sell on for profit. So, why not go and steal their scouting network?
Exactly. We need to do something different, definitely, in terms of our squad. But Bruce, we'll have to get back on with a show with Zio at some point. As always, a great conversation. Yeah, so many good points made, so many more points that we could talk about, and I'm sure we'll get into it over the next few weeks. Hopefully, I'll see you
Yes.
on the next call-in show. But yeah, Thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Brush. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. You take care. Guys, that is the end of this call-in show. I want to say a massive thank you to all the guests, to everyone in the chat as well. The debates have been really interesting. Nice to hear from different fans as well. And as I said, there's so much to talk about, not just for United at the moment, but we spoke to Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans. Like, there's a lot going on. Obviously, business end of the season. I haven't even had a chance to talk to James, who I know was in the chat, who's sadly off because has gone now. But hopefully, we'll have a conversation with him at some point regarding Everton. Are they going to stay up? And obviously, we're playing them at the weekend. And you just know, Everton have just lost to Burnley. You just know that it's got that feel that they'll beat us at the weekend. It's just, that's what United do, isn't it? But hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully United can put a performance in and we get a big win against Everton. But yeah, I'll be interested to talk next week regarding the relegation battle and who's going down and how that changes over the course of the weekend as well. But I'll be back with another show at the weekend, most likely be Saturday before the match, giving you guys a little preview. But I will pop a tweet out. But as always, I love these calling shows. If you are new, please make sure you hit the subscribe button on Ladies in Red. Hit a like on the video for all the guests that have joined as well. And of course, if I've missed your comments, I don't do it on purpose. Just put a comment afterwards and I'll always double check. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of your evening. I'm off to go and watch the West Ham game. Don't know what you guys are doing, but yeah, have a good one anyway, and I'll speak to you all soon.